So Kamala proved why America is not ready for a female president. That bitch was like curled up in bed with a box of tissues in the fetal position, probably rocking all night long. Like a rational human being would have come out last night because this was a landslide win, conceded the election, and then thanked the people that worked their tail off for them. Not Kamala. She did just finally call Donald Trump and concede, but she's not even going to speak to the nation until 4 o'clock today. Women are emotional. I've said it before. And I got a lot of hate. But this is why I have no desire to see a female president. I am a woman. We are emotional. It's kind of how we're built. The country just simply wasn't ready for it. It's not misogyny. It's called gender roles. And she just proved it all to be true.
So you won't hear from the vice president tonight, but you will hear from her tomorrow. She will be back here tomorrow to address not only the HU family, not only to address her supporters, but to address the nation.
Yeah, so she needed a whole day to get herself together. She was hurt. She was emotional. She lost. She couldn't go out in front of the crowd that was waiting for her, that took time out to show up at her party, and they couldn't even hear from her. She couldn't even come out and say 2 words to them, right? So this is a woman telling you about female nature.
I mean, Trump winning the popular vote right now, the map looks almost all red. And there were a lot of things the Harris campaign was counting on. They were counting on a lot of women coming out. Yeah. They were probably counting on a lot of minorities coming out. A lot of them did come out, but many of them came out for Trump.
That's right.
And that's y'all's problem. You shouldn't be counting on people based on skin color, based on gender. You already lost the campaign just from that. You should be campaigning based on policy. And your policy sucked. That's what really lost you the freaking election. Anyone who did now there are people who care about gender and skin color, but that's not the majority. Most people will I think most people are smart enough to make a rational decision and say, hey, I don't want open borders. Hey, I don't want my tax money to continue to go to illegals and foreign wars. Hey, I don't like this agenda that's being pushed in children's schools, on children's TV shows and stuff like that. We don't like it. We don't want women in men's sports. Well, I said women, men in women's sports. Most people can agree that, hey, we don't like that. And that's what lost you the election.
Not all working class voters are members of unions, right? And so there's a huge portion that correct. And I think that gets overlooked. And while we can all say, but Donald Trump does absolutely nothing for them, that's true from a policy perspective. But they look around and somehow still they feel connected with his personality. They like the way he speaks. And he speaks to them and says, you are forgotten. You know what Joe Biden did? He forgave student loan debt for college educated people who have all sorts of job opportunities. You continue to be forgotten.
It's not even about how Trump speaks. It's just he's more direct. We want a direct answer. If I'm going to hire someone for a job, if I ask you a question, I need a direct answer. I don't want you to beat around the bush. I don't want you to give me word salad. I want you to directly answer whether it's good or bad. I need the truth. And if I find out the truth and I ask you what happened and you still lie to my face, are you still sugarcoated? Are you beat around the bush? I know I can't hire your ass. Trump, he's going to give you 99% of the time, he's going to give you a direct answer. He doesn't have to check with his team first. Oh, can I say this? Can I say that? Or he doesn't have to follow a script. Trump will say whatever the hell he wants, whenever he wants. That's why a lot of people respect him. So if you want to say how he talks, then yeah, you can say it in that regard, because he isn't afraid to speak his mind. He doesn't have to be told what to do and told what to say. He knows what to do. He's a businessman. He ran the country like a business, and that's why he gets my vote. It's just that simple. And he's somebody that he has a history of keeping peace in the world instead of paying for wars. He has a history of protecting our borders.
The American voter wanted to take their country back, and we will soon see what that means. There are levels of sexism and racism that clearly a lot of people in this country are willing to tolerate.
Damn, can you just accept that she sucks as a candidate? Can you accept that her policies suck? Can you accept that the country was better under Trump than it is now? All you guys have is, oh, Trump bad, Trump bad. Okay, but Trump did good. The country was good. Can we just accept that?
Which is also something that, you know, we may have woken up in the same country in a sense, but that becomes much more clear this morning. I would also say that there were conversations for over a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks about how black men weren't doing their part. Black people did their part and did everything they needed to do, including the black woman who ran. So this isn't, and going to a point that Mike Memoli had made earlier, this isn't a democratic problem per se, because it's not a problem that can be solved with a campaign. These are deep-rooted issues in our country that we absolutely need to address.
I'm profoundly disturbed. I think if you look at the New York Times this morning, the headline was America makes a perilous choice. I think that in 2016, we didn't know what we would get from a Trump administration, but we know now. And we know now that he will have almost unfettered power. And so I worry, not about myself, actually. I don't worry about my station in life. I worry about the working class. I worry about my mother, a retired teacher. I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future.
Wow, how would you bring up Social Security when he said he's going to remove tax on Social Security? It's sad. You know, you can still vote on abortion. You still have all these options, and you guys still try to find a way to be a victim.
Especially my daughter, who now has less rights than I have.
Oh, God.
And I remember my father telling me many, many years ago that I was the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights. And now I have less civil rights than I had when he told me that. So again, I'm profoundly disturbed that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution did not prevent someone who participated in an insurrection from becoming president of the United States. I think that going forward, the convicted felon box on employment applications better be taken off, because if you can be the president of the United States, then you should not be prevented from employment in this.
Okay, first of all, as far as the abortion thing, like I was saying, you should teach your daughter to be responsible with her body. You don't just go out here and just have a bunch of random sex with dudes without condoms and then expect there not to be any consequences. There are diseases out there, and there are unwanted pregnancies. You should know, you should be teaching her to practice either abstinence till she's married, or if she just has to go out there and have fun, she needs to be responsible. If you're going to drink alcohol, you need to do it responsibly. You don't just get blacked out drunk and passed out somewhere. If you want to have sex, fine. What you need to do is be on birth control, use condoms, and if all else fails, you got a 72-hour pill that you can get over the counter. There is no excuse to be waiting till, you know, you're 6, 7, 8, 9 months to still having that decision to be, oh, I'm just going to delete it. That's just stupid. How can you fight for something like that? A lot of you want the right to have abortion, but you don't even see what happens to a baby, to a life, to a premature baby at, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Babies are kicking it like, 3, 4 months? And y'all want to be able to delete those babies? Like, come on, man. I don't have rights. You don't have a right to kill people.
Because I remember applying for my jobs as a federal prosecutor, and there was a box for convicted felons. Well, and so that box better be taken off. And
all of these charges and stuff that was brought on him was just a way to try to stop him from running. That's all that happened.
I think our healthcare system is now at risk. I think
no fluoride for anyone.
Yeah, economists have made clear that he's going to increase the debt by $7.75 trillion.
Oh, God.
I'm worried about mass deportation and internment camps, and I'm also
criminals first. Okay, then things will kind of be assessed after that. As far as the debt, we're not paying for a bunch of wars. We're not going to be paying billions of dollars for illegals. So under Trump, the economy is going to do better. The debt is going to be lower. The border is going to be secured. We're going to keep the woke stuff out of our schools and stop indoctrinating our kids. If you come over illegal, then, hey, you got to go. That's how it's always been.
Worried about Elon Musk warning Americans to prepare for temporary hardship. I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Yes, a mixed race woman married to a white man can technically still be president, but you have to be a strong candidate. She was not a strong candidate. Most Americans won't close borders. Maybe liberals, y'all don't care about open borders because you don't even know what it really means. You probably, I think, I've spoken to a lot of liberals who voted for Kamala, they don't even know what a visa is. They don't even know what immigration is. They don't even understand that the United States and a lot of first world countries are not just open up. You can't just be in Africa or Brazil or Colombia, Venezuela. You can't just fly. I got $200. I got $200. Let me just fly to the United States. That's not how it works. Americans are so spoiled with privilege that we don't realize that, yes, we can go to most countries because we have American dollars. They know that we're going to come over and bring money. Otherwise, there's over 1 billion people in Africa. There's over 1 billion people in India, over 1 billion people in China. Otherwise, people would just hop on planes and get start a whole new life, and it will overwhelm other countries. So there has to be laws in place to kind of limit the flow of just millions and hundreds of millions and billions of people that just want to come and just, kind of set up shop in another country. There's rules and regulations behind it. But, I know he wants to deport everyone. Yeah, you have to. You have to enforce laws, man. If you just allow anyone to just come in and take over your country, can you imagine if like 500 million Chinese people just came, or and just pretty much took over everything? I mean, what is that? It's just sad, man. Like, why can't it be that she's just a bad candidate? It has nothing to do with her skin color, man, or her gender. It's not even culture. It's just she didn't have the answers. She didn't have what it took, to win. She couldn't answer any questions on her failed border policies. And then a lot of people just kind of, after not getting the answer, we kind of realized what her agenda was. All she cares about is basically the rest of the world. She doesn't care about Americans. She puts Americans last and the rest of the world first. That's why they're in New York in 5-star hotels, eating 3 square meals a day. Maids and shit coming and making their bed and shit like that. Like, damn. Most Americans can't even afford to rent a damn hotel, fly to New York and rent a hotel. Most of us can't even afford to do that.
I want to dig further into the demographics because black women tried to save this country again last night. 92% of black women voted for the vice president. You have Latinas in the 70 percentile voting for the vice president. What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story, were not the story here, because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms, and why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to deport, says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
White women like being called uneducated white women. I think the economy matters, national security matters. But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
We have to look at the demographics of it.
When you talk about, why would Latino men vote for Trump, even though he's talking about deport? So you're basically saying, are you trying to insinuate that most Latino men are illegals? Latino men that are legal, who fought hard, took 5, 10, 15 years or whatever to become a legal American citizen, they don't want borders wide open either. You shouldn't want, no country wants open borders. I've seen a lot of Hispanic men and Hispanic women, foreigners from all different countries of the world, living in America, who spent all the money, had lawyers, and did everything they needed to do to become American citizen. And it took a long time and a lot of money. And it's a slap in the face to go through and do everything the right way, learn English, pay for your own place to stay, pay for your own health care, having to pay for everything out of pocket. And then y'all just giving it away to anybody that shows up, talking about a path to citizenship. That is a horrible policy. Get the hell out of office.